To boost its agricultural sector, the Zambian government has attracted both domestic and foreign investments in crop and livestock production. Zambia has thus been able to position itself as the regional breadbasket. Although mining is still the backbone of the Zambian economy, the 6th National Development Plan identified agriculture as a priority sector to diversify Zambia's economy and a key driver for economic growth and poverty reduction. Zambia has seen year-on-year production increases and improved productivity yields, despite there being less land available for production. In 2016, cereal crop production increased by 10% to about 2.87 million tons. More than 500,000 tons of maize is intended for export, mainly to Zimbabwe. African agro-food systems are changing rapidly as natural resources are increasingly commercialized and corporates now dominate farming inputs, crop production, and food processing and retail. Agro-food systems and rural livelihoods are being restructured due to increased agro-investment in Mumbwa District in the Central Province and Kalumbia District in Northwestern Province. About 60% of Zambians live in rural areas and mostly depend on agriculture for their livelihoods, income and food.
Farmers like these soya pieces. That's when we started selling these soya pieces. And even people, families who are malnourished are now consuming soya pieces and even becoming more healthy.
That's why
So soya pieces that we are selling here is cheap.
Most of the times when we're talking of food or food production in Mumbwa, the main produce is maize and soybeans, which is disheartening for people who are in nutrition, because we are seeing farmers producing more of carbohydrate in maize.
I cannot say it is healthier or healthy than what we used to eat before, because what we used to eat before, there was totally no chemical involved.
The crops that they used to grow, there are crops such as, of course, sugar beans, groundnuts, not on large scale, just for groundnuts, monkey nuts, okra. But all these now are overshadowed or almost forgotten, especially the finger millet and the sorghum. They are almost extinct.
New food production methods and better access to farm inputs, resources and markets has led to changes in what people eat. While nshima, thick porridge made from maize meal, is still a key part of people's diets, new foods are being introduced. In Mumbwa, indigenous local vegetables are disappearing, partly due to rising use of herbicides. Soya, which is grown in the district but processed in Lusaka, is now being sold in Mumbwa markets. In Zambian households, women are still mostly responsible for growing, procuring and preparing food, while men are responsible for seeking markets and collecting income from crop sales. Farmers in Kalumbia District said being displaced by mining has meant that they are less able to grow food, so instead they rely on buying food at local informal markets. Large-scale land-based investments have accelerated ongoing changes in Zambian agriculture. In Mumbwa, NWK Agri-Services and Amathion Agri have reconfigured the institutions through which small-scale farmers access inputs, agro-extension services and local markets.
All along we had no investor around, but somewhere 2012 with the coming of Amathion Agri, they came with a story that as farmers, as small-scale farmers, we saw ourselves growing in a way that they would provide the loan scheme where we pay the 50%, then pay the other half after investing. Also come up with an outlet an agro shop where we could acquire inputs at the nearest point.
Through this training that is being provided by Amathion and Conservation Farming Unit, CFU, is helping in terms of improving production, which is in a way trying to assist Zambia become a breadbasket.
In Kolumbia, copper processing by Kalumbia Minerals Limited has increased the demand for starch, and this has led to the development of a new agribusiness, Premier Corn Company, promoting commercial cassava production in Kalumbia. The cassava starch powder is used as a reagent to process copper sulfide into copper concentrate. As Kalumbia town has been established around the mine, a Spar grocery store has also opened for business.
Food security is a very big blow in our area. Those people who have been relocated haven't got enough farmland. Chusola Dam has a vast plain area where people who keep animals, cattle, take their animals for pasture. But because it was hijacked through dubious means between the government and the investor, those people have been relocated and they have been disadvantaged. Their animals have nowhere to feed from.
Our strategy is to turn the cassava from a food security point of view to a cash crop. We developed a business model anchoring on the smallholder farmers. The backbone of these smallholder farmers are the displaced communities from Kalumbia mine. Together with the Zambia Development Agency and the Kabompo Hydro Power Stations, Copperbelt Energy, we are in the process of recruiting a further 1,000 farmers who will be displaced by the construction of the dam.
Corporate investors have heavily influenced the institutional framework for farming input supply by promoting new cash crops such as soya and new seed varieties such as the new hybrid maize seeds. Government is also promoting crop diversification through its farming input supply program.
For the past years, we've been doing with the mines, we have been doing maize and legumes, i.e. soyas and groundnuts. They teach us that for maize in order not to exhaust the soils, we need to do a rotation. This variety is one of the best. It's a one-year variety.
It takes about 4 years to harvest the indigenous cassava varieties. The main investors in Mumbwa have set up retail shops to provide seeds, fertilizer, herbicides and other farming inputs. They have also set up outgrower schemes and are helping farmers access credit. For example, through Zanaco Bank. Like government, the new agri-investors are promoting commercial production by providing training programs and capacity building for commercial farming.
They could now be able to get loans and get inputs that can be used to plant in their fields.
I do conservation farming, which is helping me in conserving the land. It is becoming difficult to find the local seed that we used to have, for example, like the pumpkin. Even other crops that we usually also need, for example, like kanunka or bondwe. You find that all those are being wiped out by the chemicals that we are using.
Some of the things that are contributing to some of these farming methods going up is the introduction of, for example, the growing of soya beans and also cultivation of maize, some of which are now hybrid maize that we are growing, and also the training that we've received through conservation farming such as potholing, reaping, so that if you follow it correctly, and some of our friends who are following it correctly are having very good yields.
I'm seeing year in, year out, tons and tons of chemical fertilizer. If I was made a minister of agriculture for one day, I would ban the manufacturing of both chemicals or the use of these fertilizer chemicals onto the soils.
On the part of marketing, I think Cargill, the NWK, Amathion has played quite a big role, especially if you look at Cargill. They are into, we can say, in the interior of where these others cannot go. Cargill and Amathion are getting at least to where farmers are.
Amazon is a very big company, but find that you could price very low, and that even the loans got, farmers, they were unable, some to pay back because they could need to produce more bags or use more bags to settle their loans. That would leave them without food security.
Agribusiness investors are providing new markets for small-scale farmers for a wider range of crops. For example, in 2016, government only designated 2 crops, maize and paddy rice, but both Amathion Agri and NWK are buying maize, soybeans and various other types of beans.
Our model is based on, we give you 1 lima of cuttings and training. After 16 months, you, the farmer, you have 10 limas. We ask you to give 2 limas worth to the neighbor. The other 8 the company now will buy.
Kolumbia, as I said, that was a prominent cassava growing community. But go there now, you find the levels of growing cassava are declining, and they are now growing maize on a larger scale. Why? Because it has a ready market.
Government is promoting large-scale agricultural investments and a highly modernist ideology of commercial farming. FSIPs only tackle one aspect of farmers' needs, the price constraint, and only for some inputs. Meanwhile, significant funding has been directed towards encouraging the adoption of selected new technologies, but these have not created long-term and broad-based gains. Kalumbia Minerals Limited, Premier Corn Company, NWK Agri Services and Amathion Agri Investments have created new channels of farming input supplies, markets, technical advice and a commercial-orientated farming system for the small-scale farmers in Mumbwa and Kalumbia districts. This has changed the nature of production, diets and household food security. However, the investments have impacted differently on different farmers. While some farmers have been able to exploit new opportunities for accessing inputs and markets, most have still not benefited.
The living will be hard next year because no work. Over this southern resettlement, we have only 4 people who are working. The investor to come in this area have made us to lose so many things. After 1 year, they come and get the cassava itself. Ourselves, we just remain with the hunger.
We have the accelerated access to finance for the youths and the women, which we are trying to ensure that even the poor farmer out there who says, I cannot afford to do 1 or 2 hectares, we are trying to bring them on board in order to combat, of course, to have more food security in the district as well as the nation at large.